This is super scuffed, but oh hey, didn't didn't see you there. Got too much weight on me. You know what I'm saying? Too much weight on me. You know this is heavy. This is a heavy guy, and we got it now. You know, it's been a while, but we finally got it. Oh man. Now I can start saying the phrase beltless behavior. We might throw it around a couple times this video, but yeah. How does it feel not to have this? Sheesh, cannot be me. That not having this, that's beltless behavior. But anyway, we're here. I guess more importantly, I should get rid of my face cam here and start showing the screen a bit. This is scuffed. Anyway, we are here. I guess this is kind of like week 9 and week 10 put together. But let's get hype. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here per usual. Playoff update. Due to Chris's loss to Noah, or due to Chris's loss to Mnaz and Noah's win against Croc, they're tied at 4 and 5. But due to the 12-point differential, Noah now has the lead, overtaking Chris in his playoff position. First playoff shake-up. But other than that, everything seems to be going as planned. However, Croc is on a heater recently. He's now 4 and 6. If Chase loses this week against Tabs, he will also be 4 and 6. Croc is still very far behind the differential game, unfortunately, but he's been winning a lot, and that's all that matters. So if Josh and Chase start to slip up a bit, we can see Croc back in playoffs, even though Croc started off 0 and 5, he's now 4 and 6. I mean, the last 5 weeks, he's 4 and 1. Croc has been heating up. But other than that, everything is kind of how it has been. But I think these lower end, like these 8th, like the top 6 seeds are very on lock in my mind. But that 7 and 8 slot, still up for grabs. But Josh is in the lead of the 7th slot for now. So what do I do here? Let me just get Let me just get some music going real quick. Alright. So, it's kind of the playoff picture, like I was saying a second ago. Josh is at 5 and 4 with +2, so he's pretty in the lead of the number 7 slot, but if he does end up losing a lot in these last 4 weeks, if he ends up losing a lot in these last 4 weeks, he can actually miss out, but assuming nothing terribly crazy happens, this bottom half of the league kind of on lock in my mind. Again, crazy things can happen, but I would say with a 90%, I would say 85 to 90% certainty, this is what we're gonna see for this bottom half playoff bracket. So yeah. But for this up top, this is where it gets spicy, because Chris and Noah are very neck and neck. And not to discredit Woo, because he's only a game behind, but he's 3 and 6. Obviously, his differential's a lot worse than the other two, but at the end of the day, wins are the only thing that matter. So, that number 8 slot, very in the air. I would just probably have to give Noah the slight edge over everyone, just because I think his team is probably the best of the teams in playoff contention. But I mean, hey, we can see. It's definitely gonna be a close playoff run for this A slot right here. But I have. Okay, so we already are here, right? Okay, cool. All right. So I guess I'll do like. I don't even know the last time I made a video, bro. But I guess I'll do predictions and then just kind of like random banter. So 2 games have already been played for this week. MNES and Cell. MNES won 2-0. I would have given MNES a 2-1 win, but the 2-0, a little unexpected. Granted, it was a very close 2-0. A couple mind games go differently. Sal 2-0 is MNES, but MNES had it locked down. And Croc 2-0ing Tanner. Granted, there was quite a number of unlucky things that happened in this set. Absolutely, there's no denying that. I mean, it's probably. I think Tanner getting frozen for 8 turns season 1 against Preston was less unlucky than this, because there was a lot of not good things happening for Tanner this set. I mean, bro couldn't catch a break, but I do think that Croc was playing better. I still do think Croc deserved to win, but it wasn't by much. Like, you know, like Tanner was still playing good. I'm not discrediting him, but the hacks, I mean, it's like Chris and MNES last week. I mean, yeah, it was rough. But anyway, I guess we get into the actual predictions here. I'm not doing the Google Doc this time because I'm sure you all love it so much when I sit here for 2 minutes typing out the team names. So we're not gonna do that. First game is me and JC, but I don't feel like spoiling my team. So, I mean, obviously I'm gonna say I'm gonna win 2-1. Same thing as usual. I mean, last time I predicted myself to lose and I won. So I don't know, maybe JC decides to bring Destiny, Bond, Iron, Valiant again. We'll see. But I mean, again, JC and Noah, actually, because Noah's trades are pretty scary for me. JC and Noah's teams are actually probably like the worst matchups I have for like ever. They have very good teams in me, but yeah, I mean, JC on paper should win, but will he? We will see. We will see. Preston versus Noah. If it wasn't for Sneasler, I'd say Preston has the advantage because of Mega Absol. But I think because of Sneasler, this changes a bit. Obviously Preston has like Typhlosion, which like kills Noah's entire team, like it kills every team. So you probably have to bring Flashfire. Well, Flashfire Arcanine Wall is a Typhlosion, which is a little unlucky, but with Sandy Shocks and Conkeldurr, and even like Sandy Shocks, Conkeldurr, Toxapex, they can kind of deal with Arcanine. If Arcanine's about 50%, knockoff might kill it, depending on its spread for Mega Absol. But again, Noah's been playing pretty good. I mean, so is Preston, in all fairness. I think Preston's actually been playing pretty good. I think his game against Josh, I think if he sacked the Blissey and the Toxapex to the Tusk every time he came out instead of sacking Torkoal, I think he actually would have won, just because he can keep getting Sun turns, and Josh literally had 0 switch-ins to Scarf Eruption. I mean, Josh, every time Typhlosion was out, it killed something. Like, Josh was lucky Mandibuzz could live, because if it didn't, Preston was winning that set 2-0. Yeah, I think if Preston played a little bit, I think if he thought about the turns a little bit more, he definitely could have won that set. But yeah, which is crazy, because Typhlosion is probably one of the craziest, scariest Terra captains in the league, and I'm glad I don't play Preston again this season. Let's just say that. But yeah. I think I'll give this one to Noah. I'll say 2-1, just because last time they played, Preston actually should have beaten it. I don't know about beaten, but the bulk up Grimmsnarl like destroyed Noah. I remember that, but we'll see. I mean, Noah has a different team now, but I think this is closer than most people are going to give Preston credit for. I think a lot of people just kind of ignore Preston, but I think Preston, you know, proven me wrong on his team. I still think the Ninja Escovillain need to go. Hasn't used them like ever. I think he brought Ninjas to 1 game, and then, like, that was it, because that was his Terra Captain or something, but, yeah. for the 8 months he does have on his team, it's actually been doing pretty good. So, we'll see. I'll say like 2-1 Noah. 2-1 or 2-0. It's 50-50 on that, but yeah. Next up, we have B versus Woo. Last time they played, I actually do think Woo played a lot better. Granted, that was when Woo had the glaring Darmanitan, now he doesn't. But I think Aegis, it's tough, because Aegislash is good, but it's another thing that's weak to Urshifu. But B doesn't really have a Sacred Fire switching on his team. Like, Donphan can switch in, but you don't want Donphan getting burned, so maybe we see a Lomberry Donphan, but if you just Sacred Fire twice and you get double burns, like, Donphan can't do anything. We could even see a weakness policy Entei, just so you can burn the Donphan, get Earthquaked, and you're +2, and then B literally has no switch in. I think that could be interesting. Wo-Chen has a very good matchup here, like a very good matchup. You just gotta keep it away from the Torn before you Terra, and you're fine. I'm gonna give this one to Woo, actually. I think Woo played a lot better than B the last time they played. And I think because of how the teams are different now, I think Woo actually has a good chance. I'll give Woo 2-1. I'll give Woo 2-1. 2-1 for Woo. Because, like, the Entei Wo-Chen are big threats for B. Obviously, it's Vape, but, like, Woo has a decent amount that can deal with that. Like, and he kind of has to bring Vaporeon to shut down Suicune. I guess you don't have to bring Vape. You can bring Raikou, but then you don't have like a direct answer to like Calm Mind Sui. Jolteon shuts down Raikou. Honestly, Archeops is kind of evil. Like, aren't you 110? I think he's 110. Yeah, you are 110. I don't know. Archeops could be evil, but we'll see. But yeah, it's the Battle of Shed Tailors. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I don't know. I genuinely think Woo played better than B last time they played. So I would give Woo the advantage here for sure. Chris versus Nick. Nick traded Miltank, so he surely loses the rest of his games. But in all seriousness, Chris, I mean, last time he brought Scarf Spectre and it just did good. I think he'd do the same thing. Obviously, Nick now has Overquill, which is better for Chris because Umbreon is a lot harder to kill than an Overquill. I don't know if I agree on that trade. Obviously, Overquill gets rid of one of your mons weak to fighting, and it gives you Toxic Spikes, but I don't know. I think if you kept on to Umbreon for just one more week for this game, it could have been good. But in general, I think this is one of the games where we see the electric terrain. Whether we see the electric Spectre, I don't think we will, just because I think you need to be fighting to break through Goodra. But I do think we see the electric terrain just to shut down Tapu Lele's damage. Zarude is pretty good, but you can't Scarf it because you're probably going to Scarf Spectre. You can bring the Sticky Webs with Spidops. I think that's another potential here just to give Zarude the outspeed potential. Because again, also if you get Webs up for Primarina, Nick doesn't have a switch in to Prim. Goodra definitely gets... maybe not get 2-shot. If it specs Moonblast, it definitely gets 2-shot, but... yeah, I mean, Energy Ball for Milotic, Moonblast for Goodra, Hydro Pump or Ice Beam is splittering Lando. So we might see Spidops with Webs. Klefki, annoying as always. I mean, last time Nick brought it to Game 3 and made it pretty close. I won't lie, but it's hard to root against Chris because even though I don't agree with his trades, he's proven me wrong. His game against MS he should have won, and I think it looks pretty good. So I'll give it to Chris. I'll say 2-0. Maybe a little slanderous to Nick, but I think Chris has been playing pretty good. Next up, Josh versus Biff. I refuse to say Biff will win a game ever again. I feel like every week I say it's a decent matchup, and he loses. Granted, last week against JC, he, in my opinion, tech of the season, neutralizing gas wheezing. Literally all of JC's team relies on abilities, and the neutralizing gas went overtime. I think Biff played super well. Fell a little bit short as usual. But that doesn't matter. I refuse to say Biff will win a game until he starts winning them. Because he's having a worse season this season than he did last season. And I think he's a better team this season. Last season he ended like 5-9. Right now he's 1-8. So if he loses one more game, if he doesn't win out, he's gonna end off on a worse season. Or no, I guess if he loses one more game but then wins out, he would end up the same. So, you know, Biff has some breathing room, but he's basically duplicating last season, which is not what you want to see. For matchup though, he does not really have an answer to Dragapult. I mean, I guess you have Sylveon, but you know, I mean, Josh has a Glow King and a Tinkaton, so like, not the end of the world. Dragapult kind of goes crazy other than that. I mean, you can't slow it down because of Clear Body. Samurott Sucker Punch could be a thing, but I think you bring Terra Fairy to this game anyway just to eat a Scarf Dark Pulse from Chi-Yu. Yeah, I mean, I think this is 2-0 for Josh. I mean, last time, Biff should have won. Josh got extremely, extremely lucky. There's no denying it, but I think with the trades Biff has made, I mean, I think his team is better for sure, but I don't know. I think Dragapult's a real issue for him. It really is. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe the slacking comes out again. Who knows? But I'll say 2-0 Josh for this one. Tanner versus Croc, we talked about at the beginning of the video. I want to touch on this. I don't know. In my mind, Tanner, I mean, he's been saying all season he thinks it's the worst team he's ever drafted. Maybe it is. It's definitely worse than his Season 3 team. His Season 3 team was very... I was a big fan of it. His Season 3 team was fucking crazy. I mean... yeah, this is easily Tanner's best team right here. I mean, Mega Aggron with Iron Valiant, Slitherwing, Hisuian Arcanine. Evil team there. I mean, at least he's Season 2 team. How do I feel about that? I mean, he got Goodra last second. He had Umbreon like the whole season, but he traded it with Preston. Season 1 team, I think, is worse, though. The Season 1 team was not good. I mean, most people's Season 1 teams weren't good. I mean, mine was pretty ass, but... you know, his Season team... Alright, so his Season 1 team was definitely the worst. Alright, so this is probably his second worst team, I'll say. Oh, and I just leaked my team for JC. Incredible. How far am I into this video? 19 minutes. I mean, that's just incredibly stupid. JC doesn't watch these anyway, probably, so we're gonna pretend like that just didn't happen. But yeah, I'm not re-recording a 20-minute video. I absolutely refuse. And I have no editing software, so... well, actually, I can cut it out in YouTube Studio, so I'll just cut out that part in YouTube Studio. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Around 19 minutes, I made the blunder, so I gotta cut that out. I'm saying it verbally, so I know to do it after I'm done recording. But oh my god, I'm so stupid. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, I think the issue with Tanner's team is just comfortability. Tanner's a very offensive-minded player, and when you get a team this bulky, it's just not going to work. I mean, we keep saying Tanner needs to get off the offense, but I mean, he's been having a more consistent season than last season. Last season, he struggled in the beginning, and then in the late stages, he was like super red hot. This season, it's like the opposite. He started off pretty strong, and now he's starting to cool down a bit. And you don't want to cool down now because this is right around playoff time. Because let's see, he lost to Mnaz, then beat Biff, then he lost to me, and then he lost to Croc. Who does he play next week? Oh my god, and he plays Sal next week. So I mean, if Tanner loses Sal, that's 1-4 in the last 5 weeks. That's not a good look, especially right before playoffs. I do think this team will take some growing pains, because you lost a lot of damage output in Scizor. You no longer have that like duo with Shandy. You have like 3 grass types now, which feels kind of weird. Obviously, Chandelure is like defensively just grass, but I don't. The Flash Fire isn't really for the team anymore. I mean, it's still good for Vikavolt and Treads, and it's Titan, I guess. It still has its case, but it's nowhere near as like potent as it was with Mega Scizor. So Shandy stocks have kind of dropped off a bit for me. But yeah, I think Tanner, I think he's definitely going to cool down a lot, just learning this new team. As long as he doesn't let it get in its head, I think he'll be fine for playoffs. But Tanner is a very, like, momentum-based player, I guess I'll say, because, like, when he was red hot going into playoffs last season, he thought it was the season. And, I mean, very fair enough. I mean, he had a good team, and he was doing very well. So I think if he goes into playoffs with a lot of recent losses, it could affect the mental going into that game with Mnaz. So as long as he doesn't let the losses get in his head too much, I think he'll be fine. But knowing Tanner, I think it will definitely get in his head a bit going into playoffs. Tanner or Mnaz and these two. I'm honestly surprised in a way that they like went full out for this game. Obviously, we're still 4 weeks away from playoffs, but I mean, when I played Chris Week 10 last season, I kind of didn't prep the way I normally would because I knew it would probably be I knew Chris was probably going to be my semifinals opponent, and I played Tanner like week 3 in season 3, so like obviously I had to try for that. So for me, I was put in a position where I didn't have to try. For these two, very surprised they tried. They showed off a lot, and now they have a lot of intel on each other going into playoffs. Obviously, technically, they're tied 1-1, but Mnaz kind of getting the better of Sal on both of them. That makes it very interesting, especially with Sal's new team with Bundle. I think that's very interesting that Mnaz could still get the better of him again. We're in a position where me and Mnaz are looking pretty good for finals again. If it's me and Mnaz in final 3 seasons in a row, bro, I might just... I don't know, bro. I don't know. I gotta put me and Mnaz on the same side of the bracket next season. That's for sure. But yeah. Mnaz and Sal was definitely a fun one to watch. I'm surprised they took it serious, like I said. Now, Sal plays Tanner next week. I would be very surprised if he took that one serious. Because you're playing the 2 people you could potentially play in semifinals back to back. So there is in this late into the season, Sal's undefeated streak is already over because he lost to Mnaz last week. He has no incentive to try anymore. Obviously, that's a little toxic. I still think he should try in his other games. But in his games against Tanner and Mnaz, I mean, Mnaz is whatever. He's going to keep the undefeated streak. I get it. But now that it's over, he has no reason to try against Tanner. Absolutely zero. So I'd be very surprised if you were to try in that game, just because you already showed your hand a bit at MNES. So like if Tanner beats MNES and meets you in semifinals, not really something that you want to do. You don't really want to show your hand to both of them. So I think we'll see a more reserved Sal next week. I think we'll get a second loss, but I think it's for the long term looking. I think that's probably the safest bet for him, but we'll see. We'll see. Sal isn't one to really like do that, so we'll see. And then last up is Tabs versus Chase. The battle of the Saiyan teams again. God, what they play like week 4? So Chase won 2-1, which is interesting. I don't really remember that game all that much, but that was a game he got Lantern. But now the teams are slightly different. Chase now has Victini and Cobalion. You definitely... I almost say you don't bring Cobalion, but I think you do. I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough call to bring Cobalion. I think it's decent here, but there's a lot of things that scare it. Like the 3 things... Like the 2 things Cobalion can beat in Weavile and Fluttermane, they can also beat Cobalion. And Breloom also kind of shits on it. I mean, Tabs has yet to bring Breloom. If he does not bring Breloom to this game, he's trolling his brains out. There is literally a Mega T-Tar on the other team. Granted, Chase has an Enamorus that's immune to Spore and 4 times resist your fighting stab. I don't give a fuck. If he doesn't bring Breloom to this game, Tabs is... I will give Tabs one more trade just so he can trade away Breloom, because Breloom deserves better. But I'll give it to Chase. I mean, Tabs is just having a absolutely horrific season. I mean, Tabs, I don't understand what's going on. I know he's been pretty busy with like work and stuff, but man, is he having a rough season. But yeah, I'll give it to Chase. I'll probably say 2-1, 2-0. You know, I'm not really fighting it if it's either way. But yeah, I think that is those are the predictions. Let's not leak my team for JC again. Remember, to myself, around 19 minutes, we got to make a cut. But yeah. Is there anything else I really want to talk about? There's like the predictions, talked about playoffs. Fuck it, let's put the schedule. So next week, trying to see if there's like any like last minute banger games. I think JC and Chris will be an interesting one just because they didn't get to play last season. Or did they? No, Chris played JC last season. He played JC last season. So I think that'll be a fun game to watch. Chase versus Josh was a really fun one last season. That was like when Johnny Adams started to go crazy for Chase. My boy Johnny Adams. Viff versus MNES is a really funny one because Viff beat MNES right before playoffs, week 14 last season. I think that's interesting. There's a lot of interesting games next week. So I think Tanner and Sal, if they go full out, I think it'll be a very interesting game to watch. I don't know. I'm excited to get this last little bit of the season out of the way. The last time I played the Berts back to back, Noah and Biff. Sheesh. But yeah, I think as we kind of wind down this last week, this last month of Big Juice, I think there's a lot of I think it's exciting, you know. It's just, if it's me and MNES in finals again, genuinely, if it's me and MNES in finals again, I don't know what to do. I mean, I almost like, I gotta have a talk with y'all as a friend and as the commissioner of the league. What do we do if it's me and MNES in finals 3 times in a row? What do we do? I mean, obviously, I said earlier, me and MNES just have to be on the same side of the bracket next season, just so like at most we can play in semifinals. But what do we do? What do we do? MNES is finally having a good regular season, which is not like him. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, this is crazy. But in all seriousness, no, I do think this is probably like the worst playoff bracket for me possible. Noah has a very strong team into me. JC, we've talked about this a million times already. He is very strong into me. And B, I mean, even if B goes on a little, I mean, we're sleeping on B a bit because y'all let history kind of slip by, but Season 2 is B's first season, so I'm kind of ignoring that because it was very much a learning season for B. Season 3, B beat JC. Granted, you could say, oh, that was Season 3 JC. Oh, whatever. But B also beat JC this season. The last 2 times they played, B has beaten JC. I'm not saying JC's got a little bit of kryptonite here, but when you rely on these walls and all your tanks and stuff, and there's an Urshifu staring you down in the face, when Garganacl's standing in front of an Urshifu, we know who's got the bigger dick in that one, okay? I think this is a little bit like B versus Josh last season for me in quarterfinals, where it's like we kind of expect B's opponent to win just because of whatever, but I think B's having a good season. And I think it's one of those things where realistically we can see a repeat of last season where JC gets first rounded. Obviously last season was to end that as a different story. But, you know, I think the possibility of me and JC getting first rounded this season is a lot higher than people are willing to accept. I know that kind of sounds really weird and like comes out of nowhere a bit, especially for like me saying that against Noah. But I think the possibility of me, this is what I think. I think last season I was very confident on my end of the bracket, like who I was going to play and like who's going to win. I feel the opposite this season. I feel like this bottom half is super just set in stone for me. Like I know who's going to win. But for this top half, I literally have zero idea who's beaten who. Literally zero idea. Because I think all 4 of these coaches can beat each other on any given day, especially with the teams they have. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It genuinely is crazy to me. And also, Chris can make playoffs. I mean, this is without Chris. I think if you throw Chris in the mix as well, it's just as crazy as Noah. Because, yeah, I mean, it's like I said. I think the chances of me and or JC getting first rounded are very high this season. Well, I shouldn't say very high. I'll say it's like I initially said. It's higher than most people are probably willing to bet, but I think the chances are pretty good. But for this bottom half, I mean, Sal's probably just going to win this. I mean, no disrespect to Josh. I think he's a very good battler, but I mean, it's like me. It's like how I kind of was the last season and this season, but it's just like Sal's been playing too good for me to like even consider him losing this. Tanner and Emnez, it's kind of like I said, as long as Tanner gets out of his head, because I do think he probably will lose at least 1 or 2 more games before playoffs. If he stays out of his head, I think he'll be fine. But knowing Tanner, I think he'll kind of carry that. I mean, he's been carrying this all season, saying his team sucks. If Tanner's mental is a little bit shot going into playoffs, I think this is a pretty easy win for Emnez. And then Emnez and Sal, I mean, Emnez has gotten the better of Sal 2 times now. I mean, you know. Yeah, so hopefully I can beat Emnez in finals again. Hopefully I can, because I don't. This is what I'll say. If Emnez makes finals and I don't, I will lose it. I will absolutely lose it. Yeah. This is what I'm gonna say. I am not. If Emnez makes finals, I'm making finals because he sent me this, and I am not sending it back to him. No way in hell. No way in hell am I sending it back to him. So, that's gonna be the video. I don't even know what the hell this video's been about. I just know that I gotta cut out about 30 seconds worth of footage, around 19 minutes. I'm gonna get out of here. I've been rambling. I'll see y'all later.